Greetings in the name of Yahwah, the only name given among men whereby we must be saved. And we do appreciate each and every one of you who has tuned into this video. And we believe it'll be a real blessing to you. What we're going to be teaching on is the Lunar Sabbath Lie. And the reason why we're doing this video, actually, we have already got a video up that's known as the era of the Lunar Sabbath. And I got a lot of comments from evidently Lunar Sabbath people that kept saying that I was putting the new moon in the week of the Lunar Sabbath. And I was not. But I want to make this real clear in this video. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do things a little bit different than I did on the other video. And at the end of this video, we'll give you an address and a telephone number, how you can get in touch with us or write us. I have a calendar that was sent to me. Matter of fact, I believe this is the same calendar that I used in the last video. I have asked Lunar Sabbath people that would try to prove their Lunar Sabbath doctrine. All I've asked them was not to send me no Lunar Sabbath calendar in a Gregorian calendar. And I've not had one yet that can do it any other way. Matter of fact, give you an example. Here is a calendar, and give you an example about something. They have Sunday through Saturday. This is also set up on a 7-day grid. If a new moon comes in on a Monday, then their 8s, 15s, 22s, and 29s will be on Monday. In other words, the 8s, 15s, 22s, and 29s are their Sabbath days. So they would have the new moon, the 8th day, the 15, 22, and 29. Of course, the 29 is on the other page. All of their 7-day cycles, or 7-day Sabbaths, is on the same day of their new moon. Let me give you another example about something here. If a new moon comes in on a Wednesday, again, the 8, 15, 22, and 29, of course on this page here, the 29th is on the other page, but still on Wednesday. In other words, if a new moon comes in on a Wednesday, all of their Sabbaths, 8s, 15, 22, and 29s, will be on that Wednesday. If a new moon comes in on a Friday, or ever what day the new moon comes in on, that's the day, rest of that month, will all their Sabbaths fall on. I want to read you something here. This is from a book of the teaching of the Lunar Sabbath. And it says, these weekly Sabbaths fall on set or fixed days of the moon, namely the 8th, 15, 22, and 29. In other words, in this book, of course I just took copies from it, it is saying that the new moon is set up for, or sets up the day for all their Sabbaths to fall in, which if you follow all of this book, this Gregorian calendar that they're using, it does that. In other words, the new moon coming on Wednesday, all the Sabbaths on Wednesday. Also, I got another quotation from him. It says, the weekly Sabbaths keeping found to be on the 8th, 15, 22, 29 days of the moon. And here's another one. It says, furthermore, I have proven that the weekly Sabbath in Exodus fell on 8, 15, 22, 29 days of the moon. Now, and then people will come on the first video that we put up, and the Lunar Sabbath people will write, and they'll say that we are including the new moon in the week. And I never did. All that is an excuse because they cannot prove their doctrine. When out of their own books is saying that if the new moon falls on a Monday or Sunday or ever what, their Sabbath's going to fall on that same identical day. So what they're saying that the new moon is going to fit into their week. This is what they're saying in their own books. I want to give you an example of something here real quick. Here, I want to read something right here in the book of Ezekiel. This is one of their main verses. And they like to quote all the verses that has anything to do with the new moons. For time's sake. Now, I will give you a name, address, and you are more than welcome to call me up. But I can go over and over and prove days that were supposed to be 15s and Sabbaths were not Sabbath days at all. But it's just a time. I've got something I'm wanting to show how the lunar Sabbaths are trying to throw out their new moon, but at the same time they're trying to count it. In Ezekiel 46:1 it says, Thus saith Adonai Yahweh, of course King James says Lord God, the gate of the inner court that looketh towards the east shall be shut 6 working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be open. And in the day of the new moon it shall be open. Now they take this verse, of course, if you study this verse here is really a future verse in the future. But at the same time, they're trying to build on this verse that the Sabbaths and the new moon are on the same 24-hour days, but then they turn around and write on my video where they make comments that I'm putting in the new moon in their week. And I'm not doing it. They are. Now I want to show you something here. First of all, we understand that in Genesis 1:31 it says, and of course King James says God, and Elohim saw everything that he had made. And behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. Now I can take the word 6th day and show you that when it was dealing with the Sabbath, that the Sabbath was always following the 6 days. In other words, you have 6 days, then Sabbath. 6 days, and then Sabbath. If you keep a repeated 7-day cycle, you would never lose creation. But the lunar Sabbath teaching loses the Sabbath in the 2nd week of their teaching. Once you get them out of throwing out the new moon day. And we will prove this here in just a few minutes. We find that it goes on and it says in 2:2, and it says, and on the 7th day Elohim ended his work, which he had made, and rested on the 7th day. all his work which he had made. Verse 3 says, and God, or Elohim, blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, talking about the seventh day, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which was the 6 days, which Elohim created and made. You can go through Exodus, look up the word like 6 days in the Sabbath, or 6 days in the seventh. And if you will study that out and search that out, you will find that, matter of fact, let me read you something here real quick. Here in the book of Leviticus 23:2, it says, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahweh, which you should proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feast. The holy convocation is the word mikra kodesh. The word mikra means like a calling of an assembly to be holy or on a holy day. These are my feast. In Leviticus 23:3 says 6 days shall work be done. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. And you shall do no work therein. It is the Shabbat of Yahweh in all your dwellings. In Hebrew, this is what is known as Hashabi'i, which is the seventh, Hashabbat, which is the Sabbath, as Shabbaton, which is a rest, but it's a Sabbath rest, but it's not as strict if it's by itself, used by itself. Mikra Kodesh, in other words, Hashavi, Shabbat, Shabbaton, Mikra Kodesh. This is what the weekly Shabbat is. There's one other feast that is known as a Sabbath, and that's in the 7th month, the 10th day, which is known as Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement, is the only other day that literally is called a Shabbat Shabbaton. None of the other feast days are. They're either called a Mikra Kodesh or either a Shabbaton, and it's different. Okay, but watch this in verse 4. 23 and 4 of Leviticus. These are the feast of Yahweh, even the holy convocation, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. He's separating this from the Sabbath. Now watch this. Remember, the Sabbath was done by 6 work days. Then the Sabbath, which is the rest. In verse 4 says, in verse 5 says, in the 14th day of the first month. Now he's using the month, which would be the moon, to bring in the Passover and the other feasts, such as like the Feast of Tabernacles, because we understand that you had to count 7 Shabbats to get the Pentecost, are known in Hebrew as Shavuot. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something here. I'm fixing to take something up, and I'm going to set this up. And the way I set this up, this is going to be the way that if you go in Genesis. Now, some in Genesis believes this. Some believes that when you read in Genesis, let me turn over here to it go over here to it real quick. In the book of Genesis, 1 and 1, or 1 through 1, chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, where it talks about in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Some teach that this is day 1, but it's the dark moon. So we're going to use that right quick. So this is going to be the first day of the month, which is also a new moon. Now you remember how I'm setting this up in Genesis. Because what I'm setting up here is going to be set up every month for the Lunar Sabbath people. Except you got some that does not believe it this way in Genesis. And you got some that believes that when it says in the beginning, that was the dark moon. Okay, I'm going to set up another one. Watch this. And then this here is going to be the second. This is going to be the second day of the month. But it is also the first work day of the week. So this here is also a work day. Now I'm just setting it up the way the lunar Sabbath, some believes it. Then the third day. This here would be the third day of the month, but it's the second day of the week. And this is also a work day. Remember, their second day of the month starts off the first day of the week, which would be a work day. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the third one, or really to the fourth one. This would be the fourth day of the month, which is going to be the third day of the week, and it is also a work day. Now I'm going to go to the fifth day of the month. This is the fifth day of the month. It's the fourth day of the week, and it is also a work day. Go to the sixth day of the month. This is the sixth day of the month. It's the fifth day of the week, and it is also a work day. I'm going to go to the seventh day of the month. Which is the sixth day of the week, which is also a work day. Now I'm going to go to the eighth day of the month, which is going to be the seventh day of the week, and this would be their Sabbath. Now, this is how some lunar Sabbath believes it from creation. Not all of them, though. I've had some told me that they do not believe that. They just believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they don't have the 8th day or the new moon being showed until maybe the 14th day. The 4th day in the 14th verse. I believe it's what it is. But either way, I want you to look at this. I have not included the new moon in part of the week, because this is the first day of the month, and this is a second day all by itself. So the first day of the month and the second day of the month are totally 2 24 hours difference. Now I'm going to show you something with this globe that I have. I have a globe here. And the reason why I've got this globe here is to show you that if you, and this is a challenge to any lunar Sabbath believer anywhere, I will come to any lunar Sabbath teaching and disprove that the lunar Sabbath is a lie from get-go. It cannot be proven scripturally. I have a globe here. This earth, represents the earth. Now you understand, I'm going to use, you see this piece of red tape here. Let's say from here to here would be where it's dark at. So then that means that the sun would be shining on this half. But the earth, if you look down from the North Pole, it moves from my right to the left. Or if you looked at it like straight, you would see it would actually be moving from the west to the east. In other words, the earth would turn this way. This is where time, let's say this is where the first day would start. So, let's say this is where the first day of the month would start for the Lunar Sabbath teaching. So this would have to spin around, all the way around for one solid turn. And if we could stop the earth, that's 124 hours right here. Of course, we understand that you can't stop the earth. But that is this day here. That's the day all by itself. Now, I want to say this. The way I've got this set up, if I was to come out of Genesis and go into the second day of the month in Genesis, this is exactly how it's set up. The only thing is, they have this over here under the new moon day. But I want to prove that this cannot be moved over to here. Let's go to our second day. The earth is continuing its cycle. And it goes all the way around again, and I'm stopping it on the second day here. This second day of the month, I don't care if you do this in the time right now, at the time that we're doing this. I think this is about the second day of the month, which is in May. And whenever their calendar is, ever how they're doing it. But I'm getting all this out of the Gregorian calendar because you'll see where I'm going from. All right, the earth has spun around 124 hours right here. The earth has spun around again for the second day, which would have the second day of the month. This here's the first day of the month. It's all by itself. This is a 24-hour day all by itself. And now the third day of the month, it keeps spinning. This is the third day of the month. But remember, this is the second day of the week. And the second day of the month is the first day of the week. I am not including the new moon in part of the week. I want you to understand that. I am not including the new moon part of the week. It's right here before you. This is the second day of the month. Now this is the third day of the month, but it's the second day of the week. This here's the second day of the month, but it's the first day of the week. This is the new moon. It's not part of the week. But the lunar Sabbaths will make it part of the week. But we're not going to do that right now. Now the fourth day. Now this earth is still in a spin. Another fourth day, which is separate from the other three. This here is a 24-hour all by itself. This is the fourth day of the month. It started here. You count back and you come right back to here. This fourth day of the month is the third day of the week. It's a work day. Okay, I'm going to go into my fifth day. Now watch. And this earth is still spinning. And now I'm in my fifth day of the month, which is the fourth day of the week. This fourth day of the week is a work day. So how did I get to the fifth day of the month? I start my count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now watch this. I'm going into my sixth day of the month. This earth is still spinning. Another 24 hours is still going around. This here would be the sixth day of the month. But it's the fifth day of the work week, according to the Lunar Sabbath. But it's a work day. It's the fifth day of the week, the sixth day of the month. Count this back. This is all by itself. This is all by itself. All by itself. All by itself. All by itself. And all by itself. If you count to here, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 24 hours has just went by. But it don't stop there. Once you get this out of a Gregorian calendar, you'll see that the lunar Sabbath teaching will not work. Now watch. We're going to go into the 7th day of the month. The earth's still in a spin. The evening and morning comes in, and this here is another 24 hours. How many 24 hours we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 24 hours that this earth has spun around. The 7th day of the month, which is the 6th day of the week, it's a work day also. So what do we have now? We have the new moon, then we have the 2nd day of the month, which is the 1st day of the week. The lunar Sabbath people would have to agree with this. This is the 3rd day of the month, but it's the 2nd day of the week. This here's the 4th day of the month, it's the 3rd day of the week. This here's the 5th day of the month, it's the 4th day of the week. This here is the 6th day of the month, it's the 5th day of the week. Here is the 7th day of the week, but it's the 7th day of the month, but it's the 6th day of the week. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 work days. Now, if I was to just stop right here, a 7-day cycle would end right here. And the cycle would start back over. 8 would be back under here. You remember that the lunar Sabbath people are doing all that they can to keep from working on a new moon. But they want to take this 8th day of the month, which is 7th day of the week, and put it back over here. It's impossible to do it. I said it's totally impossible to do it. Now how are we going to get this 8th day? This cycle, this earth, right now we've only went 7 cycles, 7 24 hours. We're lacking 1 24 hours to make up the 8th day of the month, to make it the 7th day of the week, which is going to be the lunar Sabbath. Sabbath. All right, watch. Now this here is the cycle that is continuing in the earth. Now this here is the 8th day of the month, the 7th day of the week, which is their Sabbath. The problem is they're trying not to do what I just done, but the cycle just stopped. You've got 8 24 hours. They're really trying to take this and put this over here is really what they're doing. It's impossible to do that. Again, look at what I've got. I've got the new moon, which is a separate 24 hours than the 2nd day of the month. The third 24 hours is separate from 2 and 1. 4 the same way, it's separate from these, and 5 separate from these, and 6 separate from these, and 7 separate from these, and 8 day is separate from these. If you lunar Sabbath people would think what you're doing, it would change your doctrine. Remember, you're trying to put 8 24-hour days into a 7-day grid. You're doing all that you can to put this here where the new moon come in on this day, which would, according to going calendar, is what you would want to do. Go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You want to just say if the new moon come in on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, on a Wednesday here, you would want to try to put it here. You're actually throwing this out. It's impossible to do it. This is where Yahweh Almighty moved on me to get the 8-day cycle that y'all been taught to hide in here. get that 8-day cycle out of a 7-day cycle. A 7-day cycle ends that cycle. An 8-day cycle ends that cycle. If you had a 6-day cycle, the 6th day would end that cycle. It can never come back over here where it started. I want you to look at this real close. I do not have the new moon in this week. I have your week here. And I have the 8th day here. But the problem is, I've got it here because I got 8 24 hours. Now, on a 7-day cycle, the cycle would start back over. Then you could put an 8 here. But you can't do it because this is an 8-day cycle. This is what started the month. This is what started the week off. But this is the 8th day from here. It cannot fall here. That's 8 24 hours. Separate 24 hours. All right, I'm going to do something a little bit different on this to show the cycles. When Yahweh had moved on me to get the 8-day cycle out of a 7-day cycle, out of the 7-day calendar form, I would catch it, I would see it. In other words, this here is a 7-day calendar form. It's only got 7 grids here. To have an 8-day cycle, you'd need an extra one here. You cannot take your 8-day cycle and it be 8 days from the new moon and be back here. Now you can put 8 days in a 7-day cycle, but you cannot but the new moon don't have just 7 days. It has 8 24 hours. But you're taking your 8 24 hours and throwing it out and you don't even know it. But you're trying to keep the new moon, you're trying to hide the new moon, but you're trying to use the new moon day. What's this? I'm going to start this back over again, but I'm going to do this in a different way. I'm getting it out of the form like Yahweh had showed me to do. Now, each month, the Lunar Sabbath teaching, again, we're going to start over, and let's say the new moon comes in. This is the day of the new moon. The evening and morning, this earth spins around a full 24 hours, and we're going to use it this way. I'm going to put this is going to represent our new moon again. This is going to represent our new moon. It just went all the way around. And this new moon, right here, new moon, this is the first 24 hours of the Lunar Sabbath month. Now I'm going to get this in a cycle, in a circular form, like the Word of Yahweh sets it up. Okay, because watch this earth. Now I'm going to start over again. What's this here? This earth is still moving. This is going to be the 2nd day of the month. So by being the 2nd day of the month, I'm going to put that 2nd day right here. This is the 1st day of the month. This is the 2nd day of the month. Now watch. This is the 1st day of the month. This is the 2nd day of the month. And this is also the 1st day of the week. And I'm going to show you, once you do this, it's impossible. See, you can take a 7-day cycle grid and just change it around, but you cannot in cycles. The way Yahweh set it up, if you took like a sundial and you set a sundial up, that sundial will start off at a particular time of that day, and the next day it'll be the exact same spot again. I've done it here in service and showed it. And it's impossible to stop this. Now watch. This here is the 2nd day of the month, but it is also the 1st day. I'm going to put the 1st day of the week. 2nd day of the month, but the 1st day of the week. In other words, this here's a work day. Let's go to our third day of the month. Watch. This earth is spinning again. Evening and morning comes in. And by doing this, my third day of the month has just rolled around. And I'm going to put my third day right here. And this is going to be the third day of the month, but it's the second day of the week. So here's a work day, here's a work day. Here's the new moon. All right, now what's the third work day? The evening and morning comes in, the earth's in a spin, and another 24 hours has just went by. And now, the fourth day of the month, make sure I get this thing right here. The fourth day of the month, which is going to be the third day of the week. So you have the first day of the week, which is the second day of the month, which is a work day, work day, work day. All right? Now we're going to go into our fifth day of the month, and this earth spins around all by itself again. And the fifth day of the month has just come by. Try to make these wind up right here for me. This here is the fifth day of the month. This here is the fifth day of the month. And it is the fourth day of the week. Let me draw that where you can see it a little bit better here. This is the fifth day of the month. Fifth day of the month and the fourth day of the week. This is also a work day. This earth is still in a spin. It's springing in our sixth day of the month. So our sixth day of the month is coming in. All right, now what's this? This here is the sixth day of the month, but it's the fifth day of the week. It's also a work day. Again, the earth is going to bring in the sixth or the seventh day of the month, and it spins around evening, morning, and we get the seventh day of the week, or excuse me, the month. Here is the seventh day of the month, but it is the sixth day of the week. It's also a work day. But I want to stop right here for a minute. I want you to look at something. Let's use this as day one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a 7-day cycle. This here would start our work day if we kept a 7-day cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's your 6 work days with a 7-day cycle. Then there's your 7-day cycle. It stops. Then this 7-day cycle is going to start back over again. What does it do? Your 8th day will start back over again. Your 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way around again. Now, but this is not an 8-day cycle. We're going to get our 8th day in there. All right? This is what the Lunar Sabbath people are trying to do. They're trying to jump down here and get them an 8th day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's this? Now we got to get the 8-day cycle in here, or the 8th day. So evening, morning comes, and this earth is spinning around for the 8th time to bring in the 8th day. Now this here is the 8th day of the month, but it's the 7th day of the week. What's this? Here's a work day. This is the new moon. This is a work day. This is the first day of the week. This is the second day of the week, which is the third day of the month. It's a work day. This is the fourth day of the month, which is the third day of the week. It's a work day. This here is the fifth day of the month. It's the fourth day of the week. It's a work day. This here is the sixth day of the month. It's the fifth day of the week, but it's a work day. This here is the seventh day of the month. It's the sixth day of the week. This here is also a work day. This here is a eighth day of the month, but it's the seventh day of the week. Now watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 24 hours. It's just that simple. I have literally, in this service here, where we have service at, sometimes shining through the windows, you'll have the sunshine. And I have literally showed and maybe put something there that would show, and before it was over with, that light would move just like a clock. The Lunar Sabbath people are trying to take this here, actually this day here, and put it here. That's what they're really trying to do. It's impossible to do it. It's impossible to do it. The next thing about the Lunar Sabbath people, the teaching is this. You teach that no Mikra Kodesh or no Sabbath can fall on a work day. If you go study your Passover, known as a Passover, from Genesis, or really from Exodus to Malachi, you go study this. The 15th day, which is supposed to be their Sabbath, is not called a Shabbat. It is called a Mikra Kodesh. The 21st day, which is a work day, becomes, or to the Lunar Sabbath people, that Mikra Kodesh, that was the 15th, same identical word. The 21st becomes a non-work day. But they say that it can't do that, but it has done it. Then when you go to Shavuot, known as Pentecost, and count it, it does the same thing. You have work days made a Mikra Kodesh, or what y'all would call Sabbaths. And I have stuff that proves this, that they're trying to take all these feasts and call them Sabbaths, but then you go to the 10th, to the 7th month, to the 10th day of the 7th month. The 10th day of the 7th month also falls on a work day, and it is the only day of all the feast, which is known as the 10th day, known as Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement, and it is the only day that carries the Shabbat Shabbaton is by name. It's the only one that does it. But this is just part of it. And I wanted to show this. If you are made to get your Lunar Sabbath teaching out of a Gregorian calendar, you got problems. And let me show you something right before we close out. The reason why they don't want to do that is because of this. When their cycle that ended here on 8 starts back over, their 9th day would fall on the same 24-hour day, because these are cycles that's working. Same 24-hour day, because you can't skip this. Your cycle ended here, started here, ended here. That month is going to keep working. Then the week before the new moon, which was a non-work day, in the second week, the new moon becomes a work day. And then you would have 10, then you'd have 11, then you would have 12, then you would have 13, then you'd have 14, and then you would have 15. What's happened here? Your 15th day falls on a work day. In other words, this here was a work day in the first week, but in the second week it becomes a work day. And then that cycle continues, and this 8th day becomes the 16th. Then this is going to keep going until you come up to 30 days or 29 days. What happens is this. Before it's over with, you have 4 Sabbaths on 4 different 24-hour days. In the second week, you have begun to lose the same Sabbath that you started out with in the first week. Creation would be dissolved. It would be over with. Nobody could keep up with it. I'm going to give you an address and telephone number. You can write Brother Jerry, 775 McDonald Road, Covington, Georgia, 30014, USA. Telephone number is 770-784-0703. We'll be glad to come to any Lunar Sabbath group anywhere, or anybody that believes in the weekly Shabbat will be glad to come and teach you how to defend the weekly 7-day cycle that has never been broken. I said that has never been broken. So you have an address and telephone number, and we'll be glad to come with any group regardless. I've just hit parts of it. I can show in the Hebrew Scriptures days that they worked on the 15 and different things. So till the next time, Shalom.